Everyone, thank you so much for coming to our session. We are going to talk about revitalization and strengthening heritage language education by cultivating teacher agency. Sorry I couldn't be there. I was planning to, but life had other plans. Let's see. Just a quick introduction, and we're going to get to the introduction of ourselves a little bit more throughout the presentation. But just for the quick introduction, my name is Shahnaz Ahmadian. I work at Language Acquisition Resource Center at San Diego State University as the director of programs. I do a lot of teacher support in my work at the university, but I also am the vice principal at Iranian School of San Diego, where we provide language education, language training to our heritage students. And I'm gonna take it to my colleague.
Yeah. Okay. So my name is Heike Feltes, and I'm one of the directors of Bay Area Kinderstube, and I'm also the current president of the AATG Northern California chapter. And yeah, I'll be the second part of the presentation today.
Yes. So we wanted to learn a little bit about you. So what we prepared is a Padlet. I'm gonna actually put the, let's see. So what you need to do with the Padlet, there's a plus sign button in the bottom right corner of the interface. Just click on that, add your location, and then write your responses. And we want to know your name, the community school that you are in, and your position within that school. And let me just copy and paste this to the chat. I don't know how, Mark, we should have to give this.
Do you want that in the chat?
Do I need to log in Zoom?
No.
Shahnaz, can you go back one slide? Oh, it's in the chat. Yeah. So if you want to go to the link in the chat, or let's see if I can display it. Okay, so it's right up here. You're gonna go to padlet.com. See if I can QR code and make it bigger. It doesn't make it bigger. There's no QR code, but we can do padlet.com.
SAHMADEIAN.
ARD/2-R.
Well, you here can tell us where you're from. It's for the online audience, so we can figure out where they're from.
Okay, online.
Mm-hmm.
So, Heike, do you want to kind of start with the people who are sitting there?
Yeah.
All right.
So the question is basically where you're from and what is your what is your school setting, and what are you hoping to get out of the session? If you can put that in one sentence, why are you here? Could be because I'm not interested in AI, but it could also be that you have something that you want to hear from us. Yeah.
I'm here for the teacher agency. I love that.
Yes, me too. AI is easier. Unknown.
Yeah, and anyone else while we see if we get some online responses? Yeah.
Daniela Silva from Avra City in the region in Virginia. And I'm also very interested in learning about what's been done with the teacher agency, like you just said.
Mm-hmm. Someone else? Yeah.
Alexei Matrenko, Ukrainian School of Greater DC, Washington DC area. When I read the headline for this meeting, I knew I had to be here because last week, I received not a complaint, but some teacher told me they don't feel confident about what they're doing. This morning, a teacher that is, she was born here and she's teaching third graders, and they were correcting her because they came from Ukraine last year, so they are native speakers, but she is not. She is a heritage language person. So I need to know how to make them stay at school and not leave, because we don't want to new teachers.
Okay. To share again, apparently just jumped into. Anyone from Zoom want to introduce themselves or talk about their school and why they're here?
Can you resend the URL in chat again? I have not seen it in chat.
So I think they're just moving past that, going online.
Yeah,
Let's go. Okay.
yeah, let's just, it was just for an introduction. So let's just move on. We had already technical difficulties in the beginning.
So hopefully in my portion of the presentation, I will be able to talk about what teacher agency is and why is it crucial in education in general and in our setting even more so. And why is teacher agency particularly important for heritage community schools, and what challenges exist in promoting it, and what can administrators do to support and promote teacher agency. I have to go pretty fast because it is a lot of time. Teacher agency in general, and specifically in the professional learning, means teachers taking ownership of their own mute here. I think someone's not mute and we have a background noise. Teacher agency is the capacity of teachers to act purposefully and constructively to direct their professional growth and contribute to the growth of their colleagues, rather than responding passively to learning opportunities. Teachers who have agency are aware of their part in their professional growth and make learning choices to achieve their goals. So we wanted to explore that a little bit more. The ways that we can foster a teacher agency is really to encourage them to take active role in their professional growth, to empower them to share their needs and talk about their needs, and encourage them to contribute to the decision-making process and promote a reflective and collaborative mindset. And I kind of explain this through the example of our school. And with that, I'm just going to briefly talk about our school. As I mentioned at the beginning, I work at the Iranian School of San Diego. The school was founded in 1988. Shortly after that, we also created the Persian Cultural Center, which is now the mother organization of the school, and we get a lot of support from community for our school. The school is accredited by WASC or WASC, which is the accrediting entity. We served more than 2,300 students and have now this year a little bit more than 350 students in our school. We offer language classes from first grade to sixth grade. We also have adult classes and cultural classes like dance and music. We have 24 active teachers and more than 15 part-time teachers and teaching assistants. It's a pretty decent sized school, and we've been kind of growing in actually post-COVID, interestingly enough, with opening up some online courses. We've attracted some students from different states enjoying the Persian language and culture learning opportunities that school can provide. So our teachers, and I think that's pretty common across the board. Our first speakers are Persian, and they consist of two groups. In general, professionally trained language teachers. In our case, we have a handful of those, not really that many, but also teachers from diverse background, which can include also parents and other individuals. What they have in common is limited background in pedagogical and educational theories and practices. They have minimal or no formal training, and then they have minimal exposure to language teaching outside heritage school setting. Notable, another notable factor about these teachers is they're mostly female and mid to late career. Okay, and I think in most schools that's pretty true statement about the teachers. Now, how do teacher characteristics, backgrounds, and teaching contexts impact their sense of agency, and what role can school administrators play in shaping teachers' confidence, autonomy, and decision-making abilities? And what I'm trying to do is through the example of what we exactly did for our school, which is really looking at our teachers and understanding that many of them work part-time with us. They lack formal training and formal education. They don't really rely on this role, which is their teaching as a primary income. It for us was understandable that they may not really prioritize professional growth as a language teacher as their primary goal in what they're doing in their career. So without significant incentive, we really thought it's going to be challenging to have them really focus on their growth as an educator and as a teacher. So we had to do something from our side to kind of promote that and give them a sense of understanding why this is also very important. So our school, as I said, it's been around for a long time, and we have a good connection with universities. For example, I work at a university, so we have resources that we can also provide to our schools within the region. And so we've had a very good, consistent program, professional development program for our teachers. We provide 3 each year, one at the beginning, one midway through, and one at the end to kind of wrap up the year. The trainings always or often focused on trendy topics and whatever topics of the day was. Right now, I think AI is a big one, and we kind of sometimes have for a presentation on that. And then things that are really important, like standard-based instruction. We had a new California World Language standards and framework that for a couple of years we were focusing on that to make sure our teachers understand what those are. In general, our teachers really weren't involved in decision-making process. So most of the planning would happen during the summer with our administrators and other Persian faculties within the region, and we would decide what would be some of the professional development that we could provide for our teachers. We at some point we started also financially support our teachers to go to other professional development outside what the school offers, but those were also selected by us during the summer. So we would just give them some of the options, and they had the option to choose or to go or not. So as you can see, it was pretty top-down way of approaching this professional development as one way to kind of promote teacher agency. It was highly structured. It really gave us a handle of what was important, what values we wanted to share with the teachers, but we really didn't get a buy-in from our teachers as much, and we didn't really see significant improvements throughout the time. So obviously the teachers, the more they were working with us, the better they became as a teacher, and they, developed some best practices. But in general, with the effort that we put in, we didn't see as much results. So we decided to kind of shift our approach to more focusing on our teachers and doing what we asked them to do in the classroom, which is a learner-centered classroom. Really, that's what we asked them to do. And we thought, how about we actually talk to them and ask them what their needs are and engage them? Because most of them, they also didn't really know what they need. And so in many cases, they weren't always the ones who would share ideas or needs. So we had to actually work on that with them. So what we call also bottom-up approach, we focus on collaboration, and we really encourage creativity with our instructors. With learner-centered approach, we prioritize, as I mentioned, teachers' needs in planning. We regularly assess and discuss teachers' needs, but assessment was through observation. We had classroom observation, and then across the board, we would think about the thread of needs that we felt, or things that we didn't really, or things that we observed that and felt that teachers need support. We also asked our teachers to observe each other and talk about, their strengths and the weaknesses, and think about the ways that we can actually address those weaknesses, or through improvement through professional development. So we also encouraged a lot of input and collaboration from our teachers. And recently we've seen that our teachers are more satisfied, and we see some improvement in the classroom, and they have found their voice also in the process. At the beginning, it was a really challenge to get them to share ideas, because they mostly weren't sure if what they're doing in the classroom is correct or not. So they didn't have a confidence to share their ideas. And with that, we had a challenge in giving them the language that they could actually speak, or providing an environment that it's safe, and that they could share their needs, and they talk about things that they're struggling in the classroom. So we kind of revamped our professional development and really focused on targeted training to cater to both groups, by providing basic and advanced levels of instruction using differentiation. We had a foundational module or course right now where our teachers who have experience teaching help designing and implementing some of the trainings that we do for our new teachers or less experienced teachers. We kind of really focus on big ideas or concepts versus practical. We kind of try to maintain a balance between the two, and for many obvious reasons, kind of focus on practical information rather than more abstract concepts. We give a lot of examples. As I said, these teachers don't have pedagogical background. Connecting those to the big concept is important, but it really shouldn't be the focus of the training. So we focused on examples. This is what you do. This is how you reading activities, and these are the reasons. And each of the, pre-reading activities, for example, have its own goal and its objective. So we will do that with teachers by providing a lot of examples. Also having it in multi-level, and I mentioned that several times because it's really important that there are different levels on a specific topic. There are some basic information, giving some example, then maybe having a lot of information based on research, connecting those to big concepts and ideas that help teachers understand the background of each of these best practices as well. And we try to incorporate a lot of hands-on workshops with our trainings. We also kept it flexible. Yes, we designed those based on teachers' needs, and we kind of designed some of those or come up with the topics of those professional development, but we also gave ourselves a little bit of a room to maneuver in terms of if there's something new that shows up in terms of, I don't know, classroom management or working with the students who have some challenges. We wanted to make sure that we could maneuver a little bit based on the needs of teachers at the moment. Again, differentiation helped with the different level of teachers that we had and their experiences. Modular helped with them to work on a specific topics and having that information in different level. We have some of those as resources, which is really give teachers access to relevant resources and allowing them to do to engage with those resources on their own time. And it always is scalable, which means that there is a progress built into those modules, and teachers can actually go through those training either within our groups or, with the resources that we provide them with. I think this is, and then we also developed a lot of collaborative activities where our teachers really worked together, not only novice teachers with more advanced teachers, more experienced teachers, but also among the levels. We have, for example, Persian 1 group working together in constructing the lessons or the activities. We had Persian 2 and 3 working together, share knowledge and understanding each other and what each level needs. So there was a lot of conversation between each of these groups also to kind of share information and then to develop also professional learning communities where they set the goal every year for each, for example, group level or grade level, and we support them throughout their year to actually reach the goals of their learning communities. I'm going to stop there and give it to Aika.
Okay, so what do we do now?
I can stop share. And then we get the questions at the end. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Sorry, we had to rush through this.
This is exciting. But I'm just thinking the site, like there might not be how do we do that? Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. It's not that I don't want to see anyone who's listening. I just want you to see my whole slide because I didn't consider that, I should have shifted it a little bit over. So yeah, welcome to the second part. My name is Heike Feltes, and what was you or me? Do I need to do something? Okay. I'm one of the 3 directors at Bay Area Kinderstube. And Bay Area Kinderstube, hold on, I am. Okay, so this is going to be the topic of my presentation today, Quereinsteiger in Saturday schools. And yes, I will teach you that German word today. And
I think we're having a problem viewing the slides online. So let me just and let me see.
I'll let him do his thing and I
1 second.
myself.
Continue on.
Okay, so Bay Area Kinderstube is a program for not native speaker or heritage speaker of German in the San Francisco Bay Area. And we were founded 30 years ago. We founded a preschool, and it's a full immersion preschool, full-time. And oh, look, you're seeing part of my adorable kitties in the background. Like,
Sorry.
that's okay.
Continue on.
And And so we had parents in the Bay Area who had a play group, and then they decided they wanted it to turn into a real preschool. And 5 years later, those kids from those parents had outgrown the preschool, and that's how our school program was founded, because they were, I'm glad you're doing whatever you're doing here, because I have no idea what he's.
We'll stay over.
So, oh, look, here we are again. Okay, second slide. Awesome.
Okay.
I have a green box there. Oh, no, look at that. Okay. Okay. So this is Bay Area Kinderstube, or at least part of it. It's in Albany, California, and we moved into this building in '96, I want to say. Don't hold me account, maybe, no, it was '97. Fun fact, it's the former recording studio of John Fogerty and Creedence Clearwater. Now I just outed myself how old I am, that I know these guys. But yes, but it has been our preschool ever since. And on the side, you see a picture of our summer camp, because we also run a very large summer camp every year in Berkeley for 4 weeks for about 80 students or 80 kids, ages 3 to 12. And yes, we have 3-year-olds in summer camp. I know we're crazy. So, what do I do now?
Try it again.
Right. So this is our after-school program, or part of it. And so once the children graduate from our preschool, or maybe they don't graduate from our preschool, but they've gone somewhere else for preschool, but then they can join our after-school program, which is once a week. It's kind of like a Saturday school. The students just come once a week. They just don't come on a Saturday. They come on a Wednesday afternoon or Monday afternoon, or, it depends on, we have 3 to 5 classes every afternoon, and our high school kids come in the evening. So you see, it's usually busy, and we have a lot of very, very fluent students, because we always say we don't teach German from scratch, which means we don't start with beginner level. We assume that the children hear German at home or have picked it up elsewhere. So about 80% of our students have one German-speaking parent at home at maybe native-like level, hopefully. The other 20% have either 2 German-speaking parents at home, but that's a very small number, or they have lived in a German-speaking country for a few years, or they have gone to one of the German international schools in our area and then decided to continue with us. So our high school, I just learned yesterday here at the conference that you have only 12% of the students who attend a heritage speaker school are at high school age. And I realized oh my God, I knew we were awesome, but we have 25% of our kids are in high school. And part of that is that we administer all the tests, all the exams, to prepare them for no matter if they're going to attend college in a German-speaking country or in the US. So if they stick with us, so usually 11th grade, they either going to have the German language diploma level 2 at the end, which will give them language access to a German university, or they will have the AP in order to go to, or get credit for at a US college. On the top left side, you see I've been to Washington before. That's also why I haven't been to this conference in the last few years, because we always had the debate finals in Washington just a week or 2 after this conference. And I come from the West Coast, it's a long flight. So we have a very successful debate team, and Jugend debattiert, or youth debate, is a competition that is very popular in Germany. And a couple of decades ago, or maybe 15 years ago, it went internationally. So it's a German debate contest in the German language. And it's held outside of Germany now, like in many, many countries and many different continents. And so students will learn how to debate in their schools and compete on regional finals and on the West Coast finals. In our case, that's all online. But if you make it to the top 16, you will get to travel in person to the finals. And so the top 16 from North America includes Canada, Mexico, and the US. And within the last 3 years, we had 8 out of those like students who went there. So we had 3 and 3, and this year we have 2 kids reaching the top 16. So our debate team is very strong, and they're really like, it's a really great team because it's across the grades. So it's not just one grade who does it, it's 8th to 12th grade who participate there. And so here's our multi-million-dollar question, right? I'm a school teacher, but I'm also an administrator. So at the beginning of this, in the summer, our question is always like, how do I find qualified and experienced teachers for all classes who will be successful in the classroom, stay for many years, and help me build a strong program, right? That's our dream, but we're all like, August comes around, and the question is, who's going to teach, who's going to be in the 4th grade classroom? So it basically boils down to how do I find teachers for all classes, right? So you gotta have to find a way. No, it's just me. It's just me who stands on the beach like a week before school starts and calls up every single person I know who speaks German. So the question here is, this is the German word of the day here, Quereinsteiger, or the female version is Quereinsteigerin. Quer is across, Einsteigen means to get in. So this is somebody who gets in from the sideline or from the side. So it's a career changer, basically. And most of the people that we have in our Saturday schools in the classroom are Quereinsteiger. They have either a complete different profession, or they have like parents who come, or like we have translators, and, we have many people who are a lot of things, but they haven't been teachers yet, right? So as an admin person, how can I make sure that they are successful and I don't have the same problem again next year because this person has fled the school after the 3rd week, right? So what do they need from me? They need clear expectations and rules. They need a strong curriculum. They need basic knowledge of the theoretical background. I mean, I always say like, I have a teaching credential, I have a master's in teaching. It took me a while to get there. Like, it's not that, yeah, everyone who speaks German or, your language in your case and likes kids has the same background than I have. I have a much higher thinking of my own profession. We will need to give them scaffolding tools, and they need ongoing support and the opportunity to reflect. Okay, I thought that would work well in the classroom, but it turned out that was horrible. Why? What did I do wrong? How can I do that better the next time? How can I make that work? So basically, the clear expectations and rules are something that hopefully many of you are doing, but for those of you who thought like it was never important, teacher need a contract. If you're paying your teacher, please give them a contract. If, it should include their hours, their pay rates. Do they get paid for prep hours? What about holidays? What about breaks? Thanksgiving break, holiday break. Is that going to be paid? Is that unpaid? Those things they should not second guess these things or have to go and ask like, do I get to paid when we have a week break? And, so these things should be in their contracts. And then the same thing goes for like all those little things that everyone in the school has known for a long time because we always did it this way. the new teacher does not know these things. So it's already exciting and frightening enough to go into the classroom and to prepare like a lesson plan, for that day. Please give them as many like pointers and guidance to what the expectations and what the school asks them to do, so they don't run into all these extra problems on top of teaching. So if you're really clear about what are the admin, like what if you're sick? Like in our case, our school, if a teacher is sick, we expect them to prep a sub-plan and submit a sub-plan. I mean, of course, if you're like getting sick on the way to school, that's a different story. But if you are out, for a week or so, or you're on vacation or so, we expect you to provide the sub-plan for your sub, and we will pay you for this. So this is something that is explicitly stated in the teacher handbook. So the same thing is like, one of my favorite is like holiday parties. It's like, I don't know if it's just a German thing, but every German school has a big Christmas nowadays holiday party in December. It's a school day. The teachers are all expected to show up. Not every school pays their teachers to come. It's like, yeah, but it's a party. I'm like, yeah, half of the time I was herding and cattling kids and trying to get them on stage and to do the performance. I wasn't sitting in the audience and celebrating. It was a work day for me. So, you might kind of, I don't know how to say that, but you might like accidentally hurt somebody's feeling if you just assume that this person will like enjoy that as a party and come and celebrate with you, while as a matter of fact, this person was working. So clear communication about what the school expects and doesn't, is just very, very important. Same for the expectations and rules of the school. There's nothing more disillusionating that you have everything under control than sending your kids out to recess, telling them, yeah, go and play there. And then a board member comes running in and says like, they are not allowed to play in that area, totally undermining your authority. You had no idea, right? You're trying to get like, you're kind of like getting the respect from your kids, but then you realize you don't know half the school rules. That is something that we as admin people have to provide ahead of time, so the teacher does not run into these problems. And hopefully you're all doing this. I'm just spelling it out for those people who might have missed that. Same goes to school calendar. We do parent-teacher conferences in January. We all know that. We have a new teacher. We forgot to tell her. December comes around and we're like, yeah, don't forget to set up your sign-up sheet for the parent-teacher conferences. And she's like, we're doing what? I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we do parent-teacher conferences every year. In January, you're required to talk to everyone for 15 minutes who wants to. That is something that she should have known at the beginning of the school year, right? So the strong curriculum, we talked about that at length already at the conference. So we're just going over this very briefly. Actual standards are a good beginning point. We rely on the European language framework because German is a European language. So, and we give the the German exams from the German government. So that's our thing, what we rely on. The appropriate textbook workbooks, is a well-known problem. Clear outcome and goals has been talked about a lot the last 2 days. And the benchmark assessments is one thing to tell because especially we have formal testing starting in 6th grade, but elementary kids need to be assessed. There is informal assessment. If I'm not a trained teacher, I'm just a parent who is happy to make it alive out of the classroom every Saturday. I might not know what you're talking about with informal assessment. So I need to be really clear about when I tell them, okay, in 4th grade, you really have to check that the reading fluency is good enough, because starting in 6th grade, they're going to go into exams. You should check on who needs extra help with the reading. How would she or he check if he doesn't know what how to assess reading fluency, right? I can go ahead and tell the teacher, okay, we think reading fluency in German at age appropriate is 100 correct read words per minute. This is how you can check this, right? This is helpful. If I just tell like, you know, like, yeah, we do assessments, or sometimes they don't even tell them like that they should assess because tests are later in life. If you don't know if your kids are learning, how can you move on? I mean, assessment drives instruction. If you do not check if your students are making progress in elementary classes, you cannot just keep on going, right? You have to revisit concepts. But if you are not a teacher, a trained teacher, you just have that like textbook ahead of you and you just turn the page and you go to the next topic or to the next set of vocabulary, right? Not even checking if the last thing has been like, you know, known or not. So if we wouldn't have had technical difficulties, this would have been the spot where I would have asked you to think, pair, and share about what is the most important thing when you did your first step into the classroom, or your teachers that you're sending out there to be brave to go into the classroom. What do they need to know? What do you think their number one question is? What do they need to, what do they want to know about the theoretical background? And I give you, because we're like a little bit in time problem. Yeah.
Classroom management.
Yeah, it's the number one. Classroom management is like the panic about like losing control of the class, or like not getting them to be quiet. You know, it's like, it's frightening. If you're like in front of, especially if you teach like, you know, middle school or high school, if you're like going in there and you don't have any tools, not everyone can get the students to be quiet and to listen, so you can do what you wanted to do and you prepared at home. So your teacher needs to get some basic knowledge about classroom management. That is the number one fear that everyone has who is not a trained, and new teachers too. Like, you know, in our teacher seminar, when I got my teaching credential and our teacher seminar, that was the number one topic we talked about, is like, okay, I think I'm really wobbly on the classroom management because that was totally out of control yesterday, you know? So it's trained teachers as well. So I think that's where an emphasis needs to be on, you know, on our theoretical background, on our teacher training, on our extra, you know, extra support we provide. So the next things that are named are learning styles and differences. What if I have a child with dyslexia? What if I have a child with ADHD in the classroom, you know? So, and stages of language learning. I have a child who doesn't say anything in the classroom. I mean, does she understand me? It's like, yeah, the silent phase, if you're a new speaker, is very normal. It's a natural thing, like that they absorb first before they produce. But if you don't know that, it might totally scare you that you're doing something wrong because that child is not answering your question, right? So heritage speakers versus foreign language learners. We've talked about that a lot on the conference. The next thing, scaffolding tools. What tool can I give my teachers to support them? And the number one tool in our school has come through the pandemic. I mean, you can say what you want, it wasn't all bad during COVID. We did have to move. The teaching profession did have to change and had to adapt and to move, and things that we did for 50 years, you know, and we've always done it that way. We had to improve some things. Google Classroom is our number one tool in the school since the pandemic. And it is a perfect tool, not only to stop all those text messages and emails from parents like the night before classes, like, what was the homework reading again? But it's also the number one tool we have to support each other. And I'll show you like an example here. This is, yes, I need to clean up my Google Classroom, I'm sorry. If you look under teachers, that's my classroom. And the other two, Nahid and Stella, they also teach third grade in my school. So whatever I'm posting in my 3rd grade classroom, they have access to it, to all the homework I'm posting, to all whatever we did. And we do that with every single teacher is connected with all the other teachers who teach on the same grade level. So we can check in with each other, see, oh my God, they are like 20 pages ahead of me. Maybe I should do a little less crafting and a little bit more reading. You know, it helps you to keep a bit synchronized, but it also gives you a lot of ideas, and it gives you also a lot of, gives you a lot of help of how to write down the homework and everything. So the other tools, oops, why is that not working here now? Grade level teams, we meet throughout the school year. We're mentoring new teachers. We, observations means like, yes, I go as an administrator to observe classrooms, but also we have new teachers come and observe other grade level classrooms. If I have a new teacher who doesn't know what a reading center is, I have her come into one of the classes where they do reading centers, so she can see and learn, or he. Assistant teacher positions. We have created assistant teacher positions for those teachers who feel like they are not fully ready to jump in and be a classroom teacher. So they can be a second teacher in the classroom. They are different from assistants. They have way more responsibility, but they are not like the one who is finally in charge. The ongoing support. I monitor and the Google Classrooms of the new teachers to help them, or me or my co-director. I mean, we're 2 directors. Email communication is the same. If they are worried about sending out an email, they send it to me first or to Sylvia, and then they, get feedback. Support in parent-teacher conferences. They're like, I'm really worried about talking to that parent. Like, why, whatever the reason is, like, we're there. We will support them in that parent-teacher conference. We have a lot of local workshops and training that we send our teachers to. We have online training and presentations. I haven't checked it. I hope somebody from my staff is online here right now. And we network with a lot of other German programs, but also, Heritage School Coalition, but, many other, wherever we can to find those opportunities. And we're trying to get a Quereinsteiger diploma, like, something what the Saturday school teachers could use, a certificate that would prove that they have acquired some basic knowledge, some, for the Saturday school. So if they move somewhere else in the country, they could use it to apply to another German Saturday school. This is a long process. It's not done overnight, but we're taking baby steps. And of course, there always needs to be a time and budget for this. So that's our job as administrator. This costs money, and we just have to make it a priority because it is a lot more stressful trying to find new teachers and training them all the time, or having unhappy parents or, unhappy students. So how do I find teachers for our classes was our question. The question should be, how do I find teachers for our classes and support them so they can gain experience and get qualified to be successful in the classroom for many years and help me build a strong program. So thank you. And this is my email, heike@kinderstube.org. And please, if you're in California, come and visit us. We are happy to show you our awesome award-winning program. And I will be here for another hour or so before I head home because I have a school event tomorrow. But please ask me questions.
We have 3 minutes.
Yeah.
There's someone here who wants to ask a question. I just want to make sure that the first presenter is with us still with us.
Yes.
Questions for her too. Thank you. Mark.
Chanas is there.
There is anything from the online?
Online? Not yet online, but yeah, feel free to add anything if anybody has anything online.
Mhm.
To the chat, I can read it out.
Yeah, my question was about the observation. So you said, is it like, are you going physically into the room and you sit and you watch
Yeah.
how they interact with kids and what's happening in the room?
Yes.
How much of an observer effect? Like, do you really see what's happening if you were not in the room?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it depends on the level of trust you have from your teachers. You know, my teachers know that I'm not there to criticize, but to support. So if I'm sitting in their classroom, it's usually because they asked me to. They said, you know what, my class is like my end of the class circle is like really like the kids are all over the place and it's totally out of control. Can you please come and observe this? So I think it's different if you go in and it feels like you're sitting there with a clipboard at the end and taking notes and kind of rating your teacher, you know. If you come as a support, I think the observer effect is not that bad.
In our situation, we do actually do this systematically. All our teachers know that they are going to be observed at least twice each academic year, and we also encourage a lot of observation between teachers. So, for example, grade 1, we kind of schedule observation, and they have certain kind of template that they use. And then the observation notes are just kind of between the teachers, but from ours, and we definitely do have observation, and that's also tied into their kind of performance evaluation in a sense, where we also accommodate or increase their pay rate based on those observations as well.
This is a question for both of you. How do you help your teachers handle altercations between students and then them needing to speak to the respective parents?
Shanas, you want to start?
Sure. We do this in 3 phases. It's always the teachers are the first contact. We encourage teachers to talk to the students individually rather than, you know, dealing with it, unless there's something going on physically, which absolutely have to intervene and prevent anything, you know, to go too far. But yes, the first stage is the teacher talking to the students, and then we get involved if things don't resolve, and then at the 3rd phase we will involve parents. And we had the students who had to leave the school because of whatever they do, but we do also communicate that with our teachers, with our parents as well.
Yeah, I think we do that very similar. Like, I mean, as soon as an altercation is physical, the principal, one of the directors, gets involved. But otherwise, the teacher can handle it. But our door is always open, and one of us is always on campus. We teach in 4 afternoons, but either Sylvia or I are there on campus teaching a class. So they come just over and say like, hey, I'm having a problem with so-and-so. I can go over and talk to them. So
I have, well, I was going to say we have to go, but I really want to ask you a question, Shanas.
Yes.
I loved how you approached the applying to teachers, the concepts we defend so much for teachers to apply with the students, like targeting to the different profiles and differentiation and stuff. And I saw you, one of your slides was highlighting how you have different modules and different levels of teacher development, teacher preparation. Do you get funding from that, from your own, like parents, etc., or do you have special projects? Because I bet you have higher costs for that to happen, no?
We do have, as I mentioned, we work closely with the universities. I mean, I'm part of a university, and we have another colleague who's work at another university. We do have a lot of resources. We provide support from the university to teachers, and please check your local universities, especially if you have language resource center around your area. they need to do a lot of work with less commonly taught languages, and this is part of, for example, my job at San Diego State University, and provide a lot of support. But then within our school, what we do, we provide a little bit more to our experienced teacher. That's how we actually use them to provide these resources, to help us create those resources, and we would pay them whatever we can. If we have a good year with a good turnout of students, we give them a little bit more. But we also did it it's an ongoing effort. We've been doing it for many years now.
That's wonderful. Thank you. That's very inspirational.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.